We humans are few now, because what humans there were have been eaten by a monstrous abomination of nature called simply a kitty cat. Behold the monster from the deep that wiped out thousands of billions of human lives. Overpopulation is shit high in the future, but these cats managed to kill us all. And though they look adorable and somehow act like a dog, it's all a disguise. They do it to lure their victims into their claws and eat them like canaries and bunny rabbits and catnip. Yes, eventually we will all be gone, and they will be the only things left, for their killing methods are unusual. For you see, they kill their victims, at least their human victims, by literally melting their hearts.
Okay, that's enough cat footage. Okay, so I didn't see A Quiet Place in the theater, and maybe if I did, I would have liked this movie a little bit more. Maybe even loved it. What do I think about A Quiet Place? I think it's good. No. I'm gonna go into detail. So, yeah, I like the movie, but it's kind of ruined by the fact that I'm not watching it in the theater, and not just that. I remember going to see a movie. It's an independent movie, didn't make a lot of money, but it still has a name for itself, called Justice League. And I remember the better experience out of that was the trailer for A Quiet Place. It had an intriguing premise of the fact that this family has to be quiet, otherwise monsters will kill them. And that adds a lot of tension because raising a family, I mean, their little kids will be little shits who like bark all the time like dogs. So yeah, they'll probably be dead within a few seconds in the real world, but yeah. So I was hooked by the trailer, and then the reviews came out, and they were critical. The movie was critically acclaimed. It had like a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think. Maybe it's still there, maybe it's less. And I was a little busy at that time, so didn't get to see it. And I wanted to see it, but then I started to remember a little movie I saw a while ago called Don't Breathe, which is basically about 3 people in a house with a blind man who will kill you if he hears you. And then I found out about a movie called The Descent, which is about a bunch of women trapped in a cave with cave monsters who also have hypersensitive hearing. So the intriguing premise is kind of ruined, but hey, it's critically acclaimed, so what can go wrong? Okay, this movie is good, but not great. It's competently made, competently acted, but there's something about it, and I'm gonna find out why. Sometimes a lot of great tension-filled scenes are done without music. A great example is a scene in Sicario where Benicio del Toro sits down at a dinner table confronting the drug lord who is responsible for the death of his wife and daughter. And he has his family around, the drug lord has his family around, and there's tension of whether or not Benicio will kill them or not. He does after saying the coolest thing in Spanish ever. Ahora vas a conocer a Dios. And that was a great payoff. But in this movie, the music kind of ruins the tension. Take the opening scene, for example. So in the opening, the family is walking across a bridge, and then the little kid turns on a space shuttle toy, which makes a bunch of noise, even though he knows there are monsters that can hear any loud sound. He just lapse in judgment, I'm guessing. And John Krasinski runs after him to try to save him, and there's a monster like running up to the little kid about to kill him. And the music is kind of making us aware that this little kid is gonna die. Sure enough, he kills him. Now imagine if that scene didn't have any music. Imagine if the only sound effects used in that scene were the toy, John Krasinski's ragged breath, why did I say right? And the creature getting closer and closer. There would be a lot of tension in that scene, and it would feel like it happened in real life. What am I doing? I mean, the music is written by a great composer, and the music works in the drama scenes. You know, I just find the music to be a little distracting. That's it. Next one. So the direction in this movie is actually pretty good. Really good. The scene composition looks great. The acting is great, especially from Emily Blunt and the deaf girl. I forget her name. I'm gonna look up her name very quick. Millicent Simmons. Yeah, they're all great. I checked John Krasinski's directorial efforts before this one, and they're not per se well-received movies. But here it actually is good. However, there is kind of a bit of a problem. John Krasinski is best known for comedy, so doing a horror film, he had to have had a great knowledge of horror, and he says he became a fan of horror while making the movie, but it kind of shows that it wasn't done by an experienced horror director. I'm going to compare John Krasinski's directing in A Quiet Place to Jordan Peele's direction in Get Out. Now, in John Krasinski, he's a newbie in the horror genre. He doesn't really have a good, solid background as far as horror goes. And so it kind of shows that he's a little bit amateurish at this. Like, there are a few jump scares, unnecessary jump scares. Jordan Peele, on the other hand, is a lifelong fan of horror. So even though this is his first film, he still has a good understanding of what makes a horror film scary, even though there are unnecessary jump scares. The quality of the drama and the horror in this film is kind of different because, on the other hand, the horror is good but not very well done, while the drama in this film is very good and actually takes more control of the movie than the horror aspect. The drama and the horror of this movie actually reminded me of another film that has horror and drama in it that I think actually exceeds in doing both. I Am Legend. Yeah, I'm not kidding. A 2007 Will Smith movie is better at doing horror and drama than this critically acclaimed film. But it's true, so maybe I should compare the two. First things first, before we get into the horror aspect, I personally find the most scary things about horror films are the ideas. The idea that a man has the personality of his mother always controlling him. The idea of spirits haunting a hotel and forcing your dad to kill you. Or the idea of your body being controlled by someone else while you're left to suffer as a passenger for all eternity. Those are scary ideas, and they really help play into the horror factor of their films. In A Quiet Place, alien monsters can kill you if they hear you, and they've killed mostly everyone in the world, including humans and raccoons. And a man has to be strong enough to protect his family from the creatures while dealing with trouble in the family, including the birth of his fourth child, the fact that his daughter kind of resents herself, and the fact that his son doesn't want to go outside because he's scared shitless. That's dramatic. But in I Am Legend, it's an airborne virus that kills 90% of the population, leaves 1% of the human population immune, and turns the other 9% into cannibalistic vampires. In that setting, Will Smith is a military scientist trying to find a cure for the infected, all the while dealing with the deaths of his wife and daughter from 5 years before. And plus, the only companion he has, the only thing that can stop him from going insane, is his German Shepherd. He has no guarantee of keeping her safe, and midway in the movie, she does die, and he's left all alone and on the verge of suicide. That's really dramatic. Dramatic? Did I say dramatic? I meant dramatic. This is taking too long. I think I'm good. I just think I Am Legend did better than A Quiet Place. I think A Quiet Place is good. I don't think it's great like pretty much everybody else thinks, but I do think it's a solid family thriller drama. Notice how I didn't use the word horror? That's because the horror aspect doesn't really work for me. But that's not to say that there isn't good direction, great performances, and a really tension-filled scene involving childbirth and a screaming Emily Blunt. That came out wrong. I don't know how to end this, so